Hello, I'm Dr. Edward Langley. If you're a man over 60 and think that masturbating every day is perfectly fine, I'd like you to reconsider that for a moment. What if this habit, something you probably haven't given a second thought to, is actually contributing to those prostate problems that are disrupting your sleep, weakening your urine stream, and gradually taking over your life? It might sound a bit strong, even uncomfortable to hear, but as a doctor specializing in the prostate, I've personally witnessed how this daily activity can shift the balance from manageable symptoms to a more serious condition. I'm Dr. Edward Langley, and I've been a urologist and men's health specialist for many years, working with men across the country. I've dedicated my career to helping men over 60 regain their strength, their confidence, and enjoy a better quality of life. I'm not here to lecture you though. I simply want to share some honest information that your regular doctor may not have the time or be comfortable enough to discuss with you. For years, we were told that ejaculation is always beneficial for the prostate. However, the reality is more complex than that. Yes, it can be helpful when approached with intention, moderation, and self-awareness. But when it becomes compulsive, too frequent, or driven by emotions, it can subtly inflame the prostate, disrupt hormone balance, and worsen urinary symptoms. That's the part that often goes unmentioned. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what happens inside your body when this behavior isn't kept in check. More importantly, I'll share some things you can do instead. You'll discover 5 habits that I recommend to my patients. These aren't just good for your prostate, they can also significantly improve your sleep, energy levels, and overall confidence, starting this week. And please stay with me, because later on, I'll show you a quick, at-home test you can do in just a few seconds to see if your prostate is already under stress, even before the symptoms become more noticeable. Let's begin. The first habit that many men overlook, but which can silently harm your prostate every single day, may seem harmless, even routine. It's holding in your urine, and it can lead to some serious long-term problems. Let me explain what's really happening inside your body when you do this. I can't tell you how many times I've sat with men in their 60s and 70s who describe the constant urge to urinate at night, a weak urine stream, and sudden urges during the day. Then they'll often say something like, "But that's just part of getting older, right, doc?" And I have to gently explain that's not always the case. Sometimes, it's a habit that's making things worse. One of the most common, yet often unnoticed, habits that contributes to prostate issues is something we were all taught to do as children: holding it in. Whether you're stuck in traffic, in a meeting, or simply don't feel like the restroom is close enough, you tell yourself, "I'll wait." But that waiting can become a major problem over time. Your bladder isn't designed to stretch indefinitely. When you repeatedly ignore the urge to urinate, particularly as you age, the bladder walls can weaken and lose their elasticity. It becomes more difficult to empty your bladder completely, which leaves residual urine sitting there, which is stale, irritating, and can even become infected. Here's where it directly affects your prostate. When the bladder becomes overstretched, it puts pressure on the prostate gland, which sits just beneath it. That constant pressure contributes to swelling and inflammation, and over time, it can make symptoms like frequent urination, urgency, and nighttime trips to the bathroom much worse. This isn't just about discomfort, it's about long-term health. A prostate under constant strain is more likely to enlarge and become more difficult to manage without medical intervention. Many men don't realize that benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, can be significantly worsened by this one habit alone. The unfortunate thing is that holding your urine seems like such a small thing. It's something you might not even think about. But biologically, it triggers a cascade of stress throughout your entire lower urinary system. I understand. I've talked to veterans who were taught to tough it out, farmers who worked long hours and couldn't stop, fathers and grandfathers who put others' needs before their own. This habit becomes a part of who you are, until your body simply can't keep up anymore. That day often arrives in the form of constant nighttime awakenings, the urgent need to find a bathroom right away, or even leaking before you can get your pants unzipped. It's not a sign of weakness. It's your body telling you it needs help. And as your doctor, I need you to listen to it. So, what's the solution? It's quite simple. It starts with one decision. When you feel the urge to urinate, go. Don't delay. Even if it's inconvenient, even if it doesn't feel that bad. If you're over 60, your bladder isn't as resilient as it used to be, and your prostate is more sensitive to pressure. Every time you hold it in, you're training your body to ignore its natural signals, and eventually, it might stop sending them altogether. That's when the damage becomes more difficult to reverse. Please take this seriously. Even if you're managing well now, this habit builds up slowly and silently. And here's something you might not know. If your bladder becomes chronically overfilled, it can actually stretch the urethra and cause nerve dysfunction, making it harder to sense fullness and control the flow of urine. That's a situation no man wants to be in. So, if you're someone who has been ignoring the urge to urinate, telling yourself it's okay to wait, consider this your wake-up call. Start paying attention to the signals your body is sending you. It might seem like a small change, but it can make a huge difference in your comfort, your confidence, and your long-term prostate health. Speaking of habits that might seem harmless but have hidden consequences, let's talk about something even more personal and often misunderstood: your relationship with masturbation. What I'm about to say might completely change how you think about this aspect of your health. This is the part where many men become a little uneasy. Over the years, I've had countless conversations with patients, and when the topic of masturbation comes up, there's often a long pause. Some chuckle awkwardly, others look away, unsure if it's even okay to ask. And yet deep down they all want to know, is it helping me, or is it hurting me? Let me be frank with you. This question is one of the most important and most misunderstood in men's health, especially after 60. I say that not just as a doctor, but as someone who has seen men's lives change, both for the better and for the worse, based on their relationship with this very personal habit. For decades, the message has been simple: masturbation is natural and harmless. And in many ways, that's true. In fact, one of the largest studies ever conducted on prostate health, done at Harvard, followed over 31,000 men and found that those who ejaculated more than 21 times per month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer. The science tells us that regular ejaculation helps flush out old prostate fluid, reduces congestion, and even lowers inflammation. It's like a gentle internal cleansing that keeps things moving and functioning smoothly. But here's where it gets more nuanced, and this is the part that nobody tells you. Frequency alone isn't the whole story. It's not just about how often you do it, but why, how, and how you feel afterward. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s who masturbate daily and feel energetic, relaxed, and balanced. I've also seen men who do it the same way with the same frequency, but end up feeling depleted, sore, anxious, and even ashamed. That's when it becomes a problem. When masturbation becomes compulsive, when it's driven by boredom, loneliness, or stress rather than genuine desire, it starts to take a toll. It can cause pelvic tension, irritate the nerves around the prostate, disrupt your natural hormonal rhythm, and in some cases, even contribute to erectile dysfunction or chronic prostatitis symptoms. It can also affect your emotional well-being, leaving you feeling empty or disconnected. Here's something I often tell my patients, especially those who've made this a daily routine without thinking twice: your body changes as you age. What you could do in your 30s or 40s without any problems might not feel the same in your 60s. The tissues around the prostate become more sensitive. The nerves that control sexual function become less forgiving. And your recovery time after orgasm gets longer, especially if your testosterone levels are lower. So, the very habit you think is keeping you young might actually be draining your reserves. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not here to shame you. In fact, I believe that healthy, intentional sexual expression is an important part of life at every age. But I am urging you to listen to your body. Ask yourself, do I feel energized afterward, or drained? Is this bringing me peace, or just filling time? These questions matter more than you think. If you feel relaxed and refreshed afterward, you're probably doing it in a balanced way. But if you're noticing pain, fatigue, or emotional lows, it might be time to take a short break, reevaluate your relationship with a habit, and see how your body responds. Many men are surprised by how much sharper, calmer, and stronger they feel after just a few days off. So, yes, masturbation can support prostate health, but only when done with awareness and moderation. It's not about stopping, it's about taking control. Like any aspect of your health, it deserves intention, not autopilot. Now that we've discussed what's happening inside your body on a hormonal and neurological level, it's time to address something even more fundamental: your daily water intake. Because many men are unknowingly harming their prostate simply by how, when, and how much they drink. The fix is easier than you might think. Over the years, I've had countless men sit in my office, frustrated, exhausted, and confused. They're tired of waking up 3 or 4 times a night to go to the bathroom. They're sick of the constant urge to urinate during the day, always feeling like their bladder is never quite empty. And often, one of the first things they tell me is, "Doc, I've been drinking more water like everyone says. Isn't that supposed to help?" Here's the truth, and I say this with all the experience I've gained from treating prostate issues for many years. It's not just about drinking more water. It's about drinking water in the right way. That small difference can make all the difference when it comes to your prostate health. Let me tell you about one of my patients, John, who was 68 and a retired schoolteacher. He came to me with classic symptoms: urgency, frequency, and multiple nighttime awakenings. He was following all the healthy advice, drinking close to 10 glasses of water a day, staying hydrated, as he put it. But the timing was where things went wrong. John would drink most of his fluids in the afternoon and evening, and then spend all night paying the price. He didn't need medication. He didn't need surgery. He needed a strategy. And once we adjusted when and how he hydrated, everything started to improve. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to fluid balance. Our kidneys don't filter quite as efficiently. Our bladders don't stretch and contract the way they used to. And our prostates tend to grow and press against the urethra, making every little drop of urine feel like a full tank. When you overload your system with water, especially in the second half of the day, you're creating a perfect storm of urgency and interrupted sleep. That doesn't mean you should stop drinking water. It means you should start thinking about how you drink it. The goal is to spread your water intake throughout the day in small, steady amounts. Think of it like watering a plant. Too much all at once, and the soil floods. But a little bit at a time, and the roots thrive. Start your day with a glass of water within 30 minutes of waking up. Then, sip steadily every hour or so, tapering off by early evening. I usually recommend that my patients stop major fluid intake by 7 p.m. That doesn't mean you should go thirsty. It just means you're giving your bladder a chance to settle down before bedtime. The result is fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom, deeper sleep, and a bladder and prostate that finally get to rest. Here's something most men don't realize. When you're mildly dehydrated, which many older men are, you produce more concentrated urine. That darker, stronger-smelling urine is more acidic and can irritate both the bladder and the prostate. Over time, this irritation leads to inflammation, which worsens symptoms like urgency and discomfort. But when you stay consistently hydrated during the day, your urine becomes lighter, less irritating, and much easier on your urinary system. It's not just what you drink, it's when, how, and how consistently you do it. I can't stress that enough. Hydration is medicine when done right, and a hidden stressor when done wrong. So, if you've been flooding your system late in the day, chugging water after dinner, or only hydrating when you feel thirsty, it's time to change that pattern. Your prostate will thank you, and so will your sleep. Speaking of gentle habits that offer powerful benefits, the next one might surprise you. It takes just 10 minutes, doesn't require any equipment, and studies have shown that it can significantly reduce prostate-related symptoms. Here's a hint. It happens after every meal. Ready to find out what it is? When most men think about protecting their prostate, they might imagine supplements, medications, or maybe cutting back on red meat. Rarely do they think about something as simple as walking. And yet, after all my years of treating prostate conditions in older men, I can tell you that taking a short walk after meals is one of the most overlooked low-effort habits that can yield powerful results. I've seen it transform the lives of men who once believed their only options were pills or surgery. I remember a patient named Frank. He was 72, widowed, and had recently started noticing more urgency, more nighttime trips to the bathroom, and just a general sense of discomfort in his pelvic area. He wasn't thrilled about the idea of taking more medication, and to be honest, neither was I. So, I asked him a simple question. Frank, what do you usually do after dinner? He shrugged and said, sit in my recliner and watch TV like always. That one sentence told me everything. So, I gave him a different prescription, not a pill but a practice. I asked him to take a 10 to 15-minute walk after lunch and again after dinner. Nothing fast, nothing intense, just a steady, gentle stroll. 3 weeks later, Frank came back to my office with a grin on his face. Doc, he said, I'm sleeping better. I feel lighter, and I don't have to pee every hour anymore. All that from a few minutes of movement. Why does it work? Because walking improves circulation, especially to the pelvic area. Better blood flow means more oxygen and nutrients delivered to the prostate and surrounding tissues. It helps reduce inflammation, improve metabolic function, and support hormonal balance, particularly testosterone, which plays a key role in prostate health. It's not just about blood flow either. Walking after meals also helps regulate blood sugar, which is crucial. Men with high blood sugar or insulin resistance are at a much higher risk of developing prostate enlargement. When your body is constantly flooded with excess sugar, it contributes to systemic inflammation and hormonal imbalances that directly affect the prostate. A simple walk after eating helps your muscles absorb glucose more efficiently, reducing insulin spikes and the strain they put on your internal systems. Even more, walking helps your digestive system move more smoothly, reducing bloating and abdominal pressure that can push against the bladder and prostate. I've found that many men over 60 don't just feel better physically after walking, they feel more in control. They feel like they're doing something active to protect their health, rather than waiting for problems to get worse. Here's the beauty of it. Walking is free. No prescription, no insurance approval, no complicated routine. Just put on your shoes, step outside, and let your body do what it was made to do. If the weather isn't great, walk indoors. Use your hallway. Find a mall. The key is consistency, not intensity. Start small. Even 5 minutes is better than none. Build from there. Tie it to your meals so it becomes a habit, not a chore. And if you're struggling with energy or joint stiffness, walk even slower, but keep moving. Over time, your body will thank you, and so will your prostate. We've covered how hydration and movement can make a dramatic difference, but there's still one area we haven't touched yet, and it's the one that most men resist changing the most. It's sitting right there on your plate. What you eat could be quietly healing or quietly harming your prostate every single day. Let me show you what to look for and what to avoid, starting with your very next meal. One of the most emotional moments I've had as a doctor came from a man named Harold, who was 66 years old. He sat across from me with tears in his eyes and said, "Doc, I did everything right. I exercised, I stayed active, I even tried to manage stress, but no one ever told me the food on my plate might be the reason I'm dealing with this." His story stuck with me, not just because of the pain he was going through, but because he was right. Most men aren't told that their daily diet may be one of the biggest reasons their prostate is inflamed, enlarged, or under stress. The truth is, what you eat has a direct, measurable impact on your prostate health. Every single bite either reduces inflammation and supports healing, or it silently fuels the fire that causes your symptoms. What's even more surprising is that it's often the foods we assume are harmless, or even healthy, that can slowly chip away at our body's ability to heal. Let's start with what helps. There's a powerful antioxidant called lycopene found in red fruits like tomatoes, watermelon, and guava. Studies have shown that lycopene can reduce oxidative stress in the prostate and lower the risk of prostate cancer by as much as 28%. You don't need to memorize numbers, though. You just need to know that adding these bright red foods to your meals is one of the easiest, most natural ways to protect yourself. Then we have cruciferous vegetables: broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. These contain compounds called sulforaphanes, which support your body's natural detox systems and help eliminate harmful hormones and toxins that might otherwise linger in prostate tissue. I've seen men who added just one serving a day of these vegetables notice less pelvic discomfort, more stable urinary patterns, and even better digestion. Another often overlooked nutrient is zinc, which plays a key role in maintaining the structural integrity of the prostate. Zinc also helps balance testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, the two hormones most responsible for prostate growth. Foods rich in zinc, like pumpkin seeds, oysters, and cashews, can help regulate hormonal activity in a way that supports not just prostate function, but energy and sexual health too. Just as important as what you add is what you take out. Processed meats, like sausages, deli ham, and bacon, are loaded with preservatives and inflammatory fats that can directly aggravate the prostate. High-sugar foods, including baked goods, soda, and even some breakfast cereals, contribute to insulin resistance and systemic inflammation, both of which are closely tied to prostate enlargement. I know this next one is hard to hear, but for many men, excessive dairy, especially whole milk and cheese, can increase estrogen levels and slow down hormone clearance, adding fuel to the fire. I'm not telling you to become a nutritionist overnight. I'm telling you to start small. Replace one processed snack with a handful of nuts. Add one serving of broccoli to your dinner. Blend a few slices of watermelon into your morning smoothie. These changes, when done consistently, create a ripple effect. They reduce inflammation, regulate hormones, and help your body heal. Food is not just fuel, it's information. Every bite is a message to your cells, telling them to either grow, protect, or break down. When you begin to shift what you put on your plate, you shift the signals your body sends to your prostate. I often tell my patients that if you want to take control of your health without pills, this is where it starts. Here's the best part. When your diet supports your prostate, it also supports your brain, your heart, your metabolism, and your energy. You don't just feel better, you function better. Now that we've explored how what you eat can either inflame or heal your prostate, let's talk about something even more powerful, yet often completely ignored. It happens while you're asleep, or at least it should. Because if you're not getting this one thing right at night, your prostate never gets a chance to recover. I'll never forget a man named Ray. He was 70, a former truck driver, tough as nails, and never one to complain, until sleep became his enemy. He told me, "Doc, I don't sleep more than 2 hours at a time. I'm up and down all night, and by morning, I feel like I've aged 10 years overnight." What struck me the most was that he never connected his poor sleep to the worsening prostate symptoms he was facing. But once we made that connection and worked to restore his rest, his entire quality of life began to improve. We often think of sleep as just rest, a passive state. But it's not. Sleep is one of the most active and powerful healing processes your body engages in. When you don't get enough of it, or when your sleep is constantly interrupted, your prostate suffers in ways you might never expect. During deep sleep, your body releases a series of healing hormones. Melatonin is one of them, known for its anti-inflammatory and protective effects. Then there's growth hormone, which supports tissue repair, and testosterone, which peaks during the night. All of these are essential not just for feeling rested, but for keeping your prostate tissue healthy, balanced, and resilient. When your sleep is shallow or broken, those hormones get disrupted, and that disruption shows up as inflammation, swelling, and poor urinary control. There's also cortisol, the stress hormone. When you don't sleep well, your body produces more of it, and elevated cortisol has a direct impact on the prostate. It promotes inflammation, suppresses testosterone, and keeps your entire nervous system in a state of tension. Over time, that tension adds up, leading to a weaker flow, more urgency, more frequent trips to the bathroom, and the cycle repeats. I often ask my older patients this simple question: when was the last time you had a week of truly restful sleep? More often than not, they can't remember. That's not just unfortunate, it's dangerous, because chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just affect your energy. It increases your risk for aggressive prostate cancer, especially when combined with other risk factors like a poor diet and lack of movement. The good news is that you can change your sleep patterns, even later in life. It starts by making your bedroom a sanctuary, cool, quiet, and dark. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed.
The blue light disrupts your brain's melatonin production.
Try establishing a bedtime routine that signals to your body that it's time to wind down. Light stretching, deep breathing, or even a short meditation can do wonders for your nervous system. If you eat late, shift your meals earlier in the evening. Avoid alcohol and caffeine after mid-afternoon. These small changes add up. They allow your body to settle, your bladder to stay calmer through the night, and your prostate to rest without constant interruption. The difference isn't just physical. My patients tell me they wake up sharper, less anxious, and more hopeful.
That's the power of deep sleep.
It's like medicine you don't have to swallow. Your body already knows how to heal. You just have to give it the time and space to do it. So, if you've been brushing off sleep as a luxury, or thinking it's normal to wake up 5 times a night, I'm here to tell you that rest is not optional. It's essential, especially for your prostate. Now that we've covered everything you can do to support healing through movement, nutrition, hydration, and sleep, it's time to look at one final, simple test. It takes just 10 seconds, and it can tell you whether your prostate is already under stress, even if you feel fine. Most men fail it and have no idea they're heading for trouble. I remember a patient named Leonard. He was quiet, proud, and 75 years old. He came in for a routine checkup and said he felt mostly fine, just a bit annoyed by some frequent urges during the day and a few extra nighttime trips to the bathroom. Nothing major in his words, but I could see it in his face that he wasn't telling me everything. So, I asked him to try a simple test right then and there. It didn't require any equipment, just a clock and a glass of water. What we discovered in those 10 minutes changed the direction of his care and likely saved him from much more serious problems down the line. Many men over 60 are walking around with stressed, swollen, or inflamed prostates and don't even realize it. They chalk up their symptoms to aging, too much coffee, or a long day. But the truth is, the signs are often right there, hiding in plain sight. That's why I teach my patients a basic at-home test. It's quick, free, and surprisingly revealing. Here's how it works. Start with an empty bladder. Drink a full glass of water, about 8 to 10 ounces. Then, set a timer and pay attention. First, note how long it takes before you feel a strong urge to urinate. Is it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour? If the urge hits you too quickly, your bladder may be overly sensitive, or your prostate may be pressing against your urethra, limiting its capacity. When you do go to the bathroom, time how long it takes you to empty your bladder. Does it take more than 2 minutes? Do you feel like you still have urine left inside, even after you're done? Are you straining or starting and stopping midstream? These aren't just quirks, they're red flags. A healthy urinary system, especially in a man over 60, should allow for controlled filling, a strong stream, and complete emptying without effort or delay. If you're falling short in any of these areas, it may be time to take action. What seems like a minor nuisance now can become a serious medical issue later, such as urinary retention, chronic inflammation, or even infections that travel upward into the kidneys. What makes this test so powerful is that it's not about numbers or lab results, it's about learning to listen to your body. Most of us aren't taught how to do that. We wait until pain or disruption forces us to pay attention. But the men who age the best, who stay independent and active well into their 70s and 80s, are the ones who check in before things break down. Leonard's results weren't good. It took him less than 10 minutes to feel the urge, and more than 2 minutes to empty his bladder slowly, with stops and starts. He admitted he'd been ignoring the signs for years. But with the right care plan, including simple changes to his daily habits, his symptoms improved dramatically in just a few months. More importantly, we caught the issue before it turned into something irreversible. If you haven't tried this test yet, I encourage you not to wait. It's a small step that can offer big insight. If your results are off, don't panic. The goal isn't to scare you, it's to empower you.
Knowledge is power.
Now that you've seen all the habits, routines, and hidden risks that can quietly impact your prostate health, it's time to bring it all together. If there's one thing I hope you take away from everything we've talked about, it's this: your prostate health isn't out of your hands. You don't have to accept poor sleep, constant urgency, or the quiet fear that something might be wrong.
Small changes matter. I've seen it time and time again.
Men who stop holding their urine, who approach masturbation with intention, who hydrate smartly, walk daily, eat with awareness, protect their sleep, and stay in tune with their bodies. These men don't just feel better, they reclaim their freedom. You deserve that freedom too. I'm not speaking to you as someone reading from a textbook. I'm speaking to you as a doctor who has sat with thousands of men just like you, men who were tired, worried, and ready to give up, but chose to act instead.
Their lives changed.
Don't wait for a diagnosis to start caring. You've already taken the first step just by being here.
Now take the next one.
Your prostate, your sleep, your energy, and your manhood are worth protecting.
Jure not alone. Let's voxes pas togeter.